Well, hello, Clifford. How are you? Good afternoon here on the live Clifford Tour Show.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, welcome to Candid Conversation Zoomed In and Comments video channel. My name is Cliff. Today, I am speaking with Tom Helfrich. He is the CEO of Instantly Relevant, and today we're going to be talking about AI and content, particularly as it relates to marketing. Uh, Tom, thanks for jumping in here and talking
Yeah.
with us today about this. Can you tell me basically? Uh, from a perspective of AI and content with regard to how this all mixes and gels in, and where this all generated from your seed.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. Have the conversation. It's fun to talk AI marketing. God knows it's maybe being a bit overused or abused at times or misused. So, to set up maybe the credentials, is instantly relevant as it's really like a business growth consulting company that really focuses primarily as kind of its tip of spear around LinkedIn. LinkedIn as a social media platform is slightly different animal than the other social media platforms like YouTube or in Meta or things like, or X or whatever else, in that it's really centered around networking and other things. Now, you can obviously need to produce content and all those things, and this is where AI can play. My background, though, before that was more intelligent automation, AI consulting for big companies, putting, like an Eli Lilly, Stanley Black & Decker. So larger format companies looking to do intelligent automation is my background. My company was formed, though, out of this idea that, we had early access to OpenAI's betas on ChatGPT. So probably a year and a half or so, or 2 years before everybody else kind of got public access, we were using that for content creation and saw the major power coming. But I also saw during that time how democratized AI was going to be for content creation. So we got away from becoming a content creation company and moved in more to this kind of strategy services around growth, because it's an accelerating tool, augmentation tool for humans. So when we think about AI, maybe the first thing I'd say is it is there to accelerate you and augment you, not replace you. Uh, and that's important because as you look at your own businesses like ours, we saw that as a major strategy. Now, with my YouTube channel of Never Been Promoted, that's about helping entrepreneurs get better with entrepreneurship. And the topic of AI comes up all the time. And I think it's incredibly important that you're leveraging these technologies, but you just cannot completely rely on them.
Yeah, that's important, and that's one of the things I want to drive into or dig into a little bit here. Um, how much is too much AI? That's one of the things that that I would ask.
Great
How much
question.
is too much AI? I mean, we see it everywhere. Even in my own job, which is working in a call center, my boss will say to me, "Well, here's all your stats, and by the way, here's what the AI told us and about you and your calls." And I'm like, "Groovy, but what does that do for me? Like, it tells
Right.
me that I was too silent, or didn't I was speaking too fast, or something like that." That's great. I'm glad I know that, but what is this going to do for me? So, how much is too much and how much is too little? Where do you have to try and find a balance in this?
You do. I will tell you, probably to your dismay, that is a good use of AI because it can look at so much more data and analyze, people that are outperforming or underperforming relative to you and give you nuance pieces to help you improve. So take it at heart. You're me just not like your boss too. So the AI is cold and insensitive. It's just giving you real feedback. Um, but that is a good use case. I don't think that's too much AI. If anything, you're training probably a model to replace yourself right there. Just to be clear, that's like a great use case to take AI and say, hey, where can AI do all the stuff that you don't do well, and then allow you as a call, somebody on the support side to pick up so you can execute where you do well. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a really good use case for AI, and I don't think there's too much going on there. I think as long as they keep a human involved in the right spot, it's fine. The flip side might be, let's say, in content creation. Let me explain the kind of an XY coordinate of how I try to explain this. If the X, which goes out, is time and the Y is capability, think of two lines, a red line, blue line, think of it that way. And the red line sits above the blue line and it represents those who know how to create content really well.
Mhm.
And the blue line are those who don't. Now, if you move through the time, the red line's above the blue line, and everyone has the perspective of how good I am from not knowing anything, which is the X axis. That's the only perspective they have. And they also have this relative perspective of blue can look up and red and go, man, they're better than I am. And the red can go, I'm better than blue. Now, as AI got introduced in that timeline, blue got a big bump up from the bottom line. And they said, oh, look how much better and faster you can do this now. And they're looking down at their x-axis going, man, I'm getting so much better. But a lot of times they forget to look up. And the red has gone hockey stick. The people who knew how to create content and know how to use AI to accelerate them can do it 100 or 1,000 times faster and higher quality because they already know what they're doing. So this is where an AI tool giants the leap between those who didn't know and those who do. And you a lot of times don't realize how far ahead the people who know what they're doing are, because they're using the AI correctly in the context of knowing how to do it. Now, this applies to almost any type of AI. If you have good data, good inputs, and you know how to leverage the technologies to accelerate, you will accelerate. If you don't really know what you're doing, you're not very good at it, it could either further make your problem worse. If you make terrible content, for example, and you use AI to make more terrible content, you'll make more of it faster. And so it could accelerate a problem. So that's where too much AI is, when you still have enough learning or enough process or enough understanding of what you're supposed to be doing with the tech.
Okay, so in the context of what you do as a lead generator, um, where does this fit? Like, how does that accelerate the lead generation process? Like, what does that
Sure.
do for you?
Yeah, and I think of our company as relevant more of this kind of business consulting growth. Lead generation is part of that story, and it's part of our system. Uh, AI is there to also to kind of look at for us of how you can refine interactions with your customers. So better messaging, refine your kind of initial reach out. But AI and automation, I'd say keep those two things separate. So if you're using AI to help write content to refine something that you've already written, good use case. Using AI blindly with automation creates spam. So what we look at where AI fits is how you strategically use it to grow, which includes some lead gen. And some of the lead generation might be, for some customers, it might be, hey, listen, just talk to 100 relevant people a month. For others, hey, listen, you got to get down the email path of cold email outreach and leverage AI to write better content and then measure the metrics. So it really depends on the strategy of who the business, who the person is, the business, all those things go into play. There's really no cookie cutter with it.
Right, and then once you generate that lead and you get that customer, now you want to develop that lead into obviously the sale, and after the post sale, you want to help them get to where they really want to go, which basically comes to the crux of this conversation. Okay, what do we do with the content? How do we make it so that it's socially relevant, that it gets on YouTube and across all the
Right.
socials and makes sense, and also that the AI isn't too heavy, and the human element also is smart.
Correct.
Is,
Yeah.
is there a formula in that you're bringing to the table
I
for
mean,
that kind of thing?
there's I don't know if formula is the right word. The reality is that a lot of this, and it's not a slam on things. It's just the reality is a lot of people don't really know their space. They kind of know it, and they're using AI to represent more than they know, which means they can't deepen past the AI that's on their side. They don't have a lot of times don't have a point of view or opinion or the experience to broaden what AI could create, so it looks better than what you have. And
Mhm.
though for those who are experienced, let's say if you're a service provider and you have someone who's experienced buying those services, they'll see that. They'll see that there's no real original point of view. It's just vanilla. And that's that formula. It still comes back to the human knowing and learning and becoming very good at something. So what often happens, people are not niche enough and they're too wide in what their expertise is, but it's not really an expertise. It's just kind of a I get by. And if you really want to use these AIs correctly, you really got to know your space. You got to really get in the weeds. And I struggle with this as well in kind of the strategy and marketing space. There's people who do it really, really well. And there's
Mhm.
people who, and that I look, go, wow, they really know what they're doing. But I see they're just more focused. They got more experience. And that's really where I'd say it's not really formulaic. You just got to really still learn so you know how to use these tools to accelerate. And if you have that mind that this thing's going to accelerate me, not replace what I don't know, you're in a good spot. But if it's replacing what you don't know and you're not growing from that or learning from when it's presenting new ideas, you're getting behind, massive,
Yeah,
like rapidly behind.
yeah, and I think that's what some people out there are doing. I wouldn't say everybody's doing it, but I would say there's a percentage of people, like even in my, doing what I'm doing with the content. I kind of have to admit I'm kind of not leery of AI, but I'm kind of like, how do I use this thing right so that what I do is augmented rather than, as you put it, putting out bad content? How do I make it so that the AI sort of fits in there, that it gets even more hits that pass what I buy,
Yeah.
for my advertising? And I guess that's just basically knowledge. Is that what you're driving to?
Yeah, there's knowledge, but there are tools out there that I don't know if it's truly AI, but they fake views, they fake metrics that you'll care about, and so you'll keep
Mm,
buying from them, and it doesn't actually deliver anything. So I think people need to be aware that there's a lot of, be careful what you buy, because there's a lot of vanity metric type of technologies out there that leverage. They don't even leverage AI. They're masking themselves as AI. I would say it that way, and I won't go into the specifics, but if you're using a tool and it's getting you great followers and views, but you don't get anything really from it, meaning like it's not, they seem like you're on the wrong path. I would say when you're creating, like, say, YouTube content or an article or whatever else, I think just start with your kind of, and I don't say polarizing side, but your opinion on the subject. And maybe it's the problem, it's the statement, it's the hook. Like, hey, this is happening. Here's my definitive opinion on it. AI can help you give you the other side of the story. It can help you create the humor and things behind it, and then you refine it. But I would never take anything AI off the shelf and just go post it. Typically, I would do a few revisions and put your own kind of flavor and brand into it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you say, it's a helping tool. It's
It
not
is.
something that replaces you. It helps you because the bottom line is you don't want it to replace you. But the point is you want to use that, but at the same time, you also want to make sure that you're doing, as you point out, the right things, and basically putting your stamp on that content by, as you put it, um, jumping in there and correcting it. Because I've heard stories of AI saying things that basically are not true, or putting on, for example, a picture, a dog with 15 legs. We don't want that,
There
obviously.
were there were some attorneys using it to do, uh, legal work for court filings, and AI made up fake cases,
Mhm.
and they submitted it. Now they will
Oh,
likely get disbarred for that, but that's an example. AI completely made up a fake
mhm.
uh, case to support their claim. That's
So
true.
that's the wrong use of this.
That's
So
a wrong use as an
yeah,
attorney and anybody else, is to submit something without verifying that that was actually a real case. Yes.
and that's the
Totally.
same thing in what I do as far as media content. It's like I know even there's an AI channel out there that's basically a news channel, and it's all AI generated. I'm kind of leery of that because I want the human element to be in there. What I get from what you're saying is there needs to be human touch on this at all times. Is that
At
what
all.
you're also?
Yeah, no, you have to have a pulse on it for sure. I'm a firm believer in that. 100%.
Right. So how do you, in your company, instantly relevant, how do you actually uh, teach or help customers put that together?
Yeah, we have a system. So it's called the instant relevant, growth system. And effectively, we just start at the beginning. We start with who you are. We start with what you're trying to accomplish, your goals, and we start forming the strategy behind that. So the strategy behind what you're trying to accomplish, what your company is, the size, all the factors, the core kind of essential factors. We figure out who it is you need to meet, the ideal customer profile list. We go through that process, and work it through what your profile should look like, what kind of content you should be creating, how you should be interacting with people, like what your follow-up should be, what your offer should look like, what your referral systems look like, your pricing theory. We take that whole route because it doesn't do you any good to get a lead if you're going to lose them on bad pricing or bad value structure. It doesn't good anyway to build a network that has nothing. Then none of them are a lead. And so you have to make sure you have all these little components that are stacking behind each other, so you get as much throughput and efficiency to grow.
And that's an
And so I
important.
probably answered back to the original question with AI and everything else. AI has its components in that. It might be automations for Zapier. Those are more automations, but it might be generating some comments and selecting a few. It might be helping with just rewriting of profiles. It might be rethinking how you do content from a article. There's all kinds of little spots that AI kind of pokes its head in based on the customer. Oftentimes though, it's looking at things with strategy of like their pricing, their offer theory, things that are missing, and also then just how it enables and enhances content.
That's pretty important. You want to make sure that that content is enhanced well enough so that it drives the traffic.
Correct.
Yeah, that's really great. Now, how did people reach out to you? What's the best medium and way to get in touch with your company and start that process?
Sure. Just go to instantlyrelevant.com. There's plenty of places there to book time with us. Who knows? You might even get me if you do that. And if you mentioned you saw it on the show, let me know, and I'll make sure that we get extra time together so I can kind of give you an evaluation or a kind of a consultation on what you're trying to do longer than what's typically found. So, but instantlyrelevant.com, great place to get a hold of me.
Excellent. And I really appreciate every moment of this because it's really, really important. And it's important for people to appreciate every moment of this. You've got to understand with AI, and then I'm speaking, of course, to my audience here. You got to understand AI is here. It's not going away, but we want to use it in a relevant matter. And your company helps people do that. And so I would say definitely want to have a reach out to you if you're looking to do any kind of lead generation or marketing. Tom, I really appreciate your time today, and I think it's great that we had a chance to talk a little bit about what you do and also how AI and content can fit together and work well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Having you on the channel for Never Been Promoted would be great too, because as you're talking through AI and helping businesses grow, I would love to maybe extend the offer back to interview you as well on the Never Been Promoted channel.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, definitely that's something we would want to do as well. I think that would be awesome. And I'm going to make sure this gets up on our channel. And if you want to post it on yours, that would be great. And then yes, definitely, I would love to do another one as well with you because I think this is a great topic and we can talk about what I do and all that good stuff. But for now, I'm going to leave it. Thanks for tuning in to Zoomed In. This is Candid Conversation Zoomed In and Video Comments channel. My name is Clip. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care and have a great rest of your day.